Staring at that camera the whole time.
I know it's hard. So let me show you. I actually see this. I put this on my screen just so that I look right at the camera instead of looking at the screen. All right, everybody. Hey, welcome to this next episode of Leaning In. Today, I've got a guy with me that I've known for quite a while now, and we've actually become pretty good friends, inside work and outside work. So it's a pleasure to have Phil with me. So I got Phil Galata from Purple with me today. So, hey, Phil, man, what's going on?
How's it going, Eric?
Good, good.
Thanks for having me.
Good, yeah, no problem. Hey, thanks for joining me. I just wanted to ask some questions. So, we're doing this case study for you guys, and you guys have done some phenomenal stuff. A lot of people don't know this. They'll find out at the conference, but Purple and more to it, the Grantsville, Utah site is winning the Leading to Lean 2020 Operational Excellence Award. And so congratulations on that, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. You guys have done a great job, and really the reason why we thought that it was really important to recognize you guys this year is because what you've done is that you've taken this Greenfield site, right? You guys bought a brand new building and knew that that Purple was going to grow, and you have been expanding this business using Leading to Lean all the way as you guys grow, right? So
yeah, the number of machines when we started to the number of machines today is grown quite a bit. So it's been nice to have Leading to Lean as a tool to help us achieve where we're at today.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know, Purple is how do we call it? Is in the sleep industry or in the comfort industry, right?
Yep.
Purple makes a mattress, and they have this proprietary technology. It's awesome, where they injection mold these mattresses with the famed Purple. I don't know, what do you guys call the material there, Phil?
We call it grid now. It used to be a hyper-elastic polymer.
Yeah. And it comes out purple, and so it's really neat. They do a lot of other cool stuff. So, but all of this technology in order to injection mold these mattresses is all brand new technology that these guys came up with themselves. And so it's a great product that I would definitely recommend you try it. And we're not sponsored by that, but they're one of our clients here at Leading to Lean. So, hey, one of the, first of all, tell me what is your official role? You've like changed a couple, 2 or 3 times since I've known you and started working there. So what is your official role there with Purple?
So I'm the director of maintenance. So all of the production equipment in both facilities.
Yeah, so you have the Grantsville and the Alpine facility, right? Both here in
Utah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit, what when you started the Grantsville site, I know that was kind of about the same time you started, right? And they brought the Grantsville site on board. Kind of what were your goals when you thought about implementing Leading to Lean and you were going to the leadership there at Purple and saying, hey, I need this tool? What were your goals? What were you thinking when you were thinking about implementing L2L there at Purple?
Well, originally I was thinking this is a brand new facility. We don't have a tool at all. And in fact, we don't have any spare parts. We don't have any equipment PMs. We have, brand new equipment, and we have maintenance staff, but no way to manage it. So initially it's to simply get a tool that we can start implementing all of this maintenance action items in. And of course I've used Leading to Lean prior to Purple. So it was my objective at that point simply to sell and gain approval for Leading to Lean. Knowing that the end goal would be to start maintaining the equipment properly. with the
Right.
powerfulness of leading to lean, I knew that I had to do whatever it took to ensure that I gained approval for that tool. So
Right. Right. So what when you started off, like you walked into this place, what was your biggest concern that you were kind of hoping leading to lean would solve right off the bat there when you implemented
well, I mean, to be honest, I didn't have a concern. What I was very excited about was it was a blank canvas. It was a clean slate, and we could start fresh. When you've converted from one system to another, sometimes there's a lot of bad data that you have to sift through or bad information, and so this is really a clean slate. Now that comes with other challenges, of course, but the biggest concern I had was we didn't have any spare parts. So
Right.
spare parts crib, if you'd call it that, had just a few parts on some pallets on the concrete. So it was really more of an excitement to get going and start collecting some data and some information and start utilizing that to turn our
Yeah,
maintenance system.
and a lot of those machines, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of those machines were custom built, right? So they were custom stuff. So it wasn't like a lot of off the shelf parts. I mean, I'm sure there was some, but you had some custom parts on that stuff as well, right?
Yeah, so that would definitely be one of the challenges. This isn't like a factory full of equipment that we, purchase from a manufacturer, and we can call them up, get all the manuals, have them send us a bunch of spare part, packages, and be tooled up. This was now we need to dig into what this machine is made up of, because at this point we had also had some turnover. So some of the expertise. Not all of it, but some of it wasn't around anymore. These individuals had left. So much of it was custom, like you're saying. So we have to pull the part off, get it drawn up, put it back on, and then, get a spare made.
Right, right.
And then to add to that, obviously, as we've built new machines, they've evolved. And so they don't all have interchangeable spare parts. And their PM schedules aren't even interchangeable because of the technology that had evolved. So it definitely still is a challenge.
Yeah. So that is definitely one of the tools that you use is the PM scheduler and stuff. It's probably one of the most used tools that you use with inside of that, right?
Yeah, that and the inventory module is we utilize that, as you can imagine, every single day.
Right.
The document center, though, is another big one. The skill
Yeah.
module we're starting to use, especially with all of our new mechanics coming on. So we're not experts in the skills module.
So let's talk a little bit about the mechanics. How have those guys? I mean, I know I was in there, when there was one Max machine on the floor, right? And I think you had two guys at the time. And so has your team, your group of mechanics, how have they evolved with L2L in using the mobile platform and using the system? How's that been?
It's been great. I mean, most of them have experience in the industry, so they've come from places that you generally hear one or two systems that most of the mechanics have come from, and they all express their limitations with that system and their difficulty to navigate, from what they're used to. So leading to lean, they're always impressed with how intuitive it is, and I usually sit down with them and we do an hour training right from the onboarding process. And then over time, you have to just show them, little bits and pieces, because you show them everything at once. It's overwhelming, and as you know, there are, multiple ways of doing or achieving or gathering the same data. So I show them, one way, and then over time that expands to multiple ways. And even to today, 2 years later, I've got maintenance supervisors who are coming to the office, like show me that again. You
Right.
showed us some data the other day, and I don't remember how to get there. It's pretty powerful. So obviously there's a lot to it, but the basics of it are very intuitive. They're usually almost always using it within the first week, dispatching themselves and putting in their notes and consuming parts, which is where we start.
Yeah. Yeah. So it goes pretty quick once they get the basics of it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would like to have a more formal training program at Purple on how to use the software, because it does take up, some time of mine, but I'm not quite there yet. And to be honest, the supervisors are training their employees pretty well themselves. So
Right.
there hasn't been a huge need just because of its intuitiveness.
Yeah. So as like the director, right, over these maintenance departments and over plants, tell me, what is like your go-to feature? What, when you log on to L2L, like what is the first thing you go and look at?
Oh man. I'm the reporting, structures where I typically go to. Now, I generally get all those reports in my email, so I don't typically
right.
L2L. Obviously, it takes me there once I've clicked on the report, but the reporting structure is what I rely on, and then the history details. So if I see discrepancies or anomalies, I definitely dig into the history detail, and then obviously into the dispatch itself, and that's my go-to. But I'm navigating everything as I try and help mitigate the issue.
Well, and I think over the years, right, as I've known you, you've moved to the point where you're not in the day-to-day management of the software anymore, like your guys are now, right? So when we first started talking together, it was building schedules and building documents and building, all of that stuff. I think you've kind of moved on from that a little bit. So
yeah, in fact, just the other day I was in the work order module, trying to assign some hours, estimations for hours, and I couldn't figure it out because there had been an update, and so I actually had to call my planner and say, how does this work? And he had to walk me through it. So it's definitely I'm losing, some of my. I'm not as fresh as I was.
Well, it sounds like you need to come to one of my administrative classes.
Yeah.
Get caught up.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, so tell me a little bit about like what advantages do you think L2L gives a company like Purple as opposed to like a standard CMMS? You've used standard CMMS systems. And what advantage does it give you guys?
I like to say it's the flexibility. I mean, as you can imagine, over the course of 2 years, it's evolved so rapidly and so much to the point where if you don't have a flexible system that you can change, that can keep up with you, then you're going to struggle. And when I say the flexibility, I mean, if a line changes or a document or a schedule needs to be revised, you need to be able to do that, quickly, and sometimes week to week. And if it's not easy, it's most likely it's not gonna happen, right? So you need something that's easy. And in fact, most of the time, especially in the early years, I would do those things right from my phone. So walking the shop floor, there's a small issue that I notice. Talk to the mechanics. Well, that's because the PM frequency is wrong. I'll just pull it up on my phone, change it, and move on.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's the flexibility, the ease of use. In fact, I have a new maintenance manager who started, 5 or 6 weeks ago, and that is one thing that he's talked a lot about, is how it's easier to use, and you can work through things on the fly, on the go.
Awesome. So you guys are gonna receive our 2020 award, our Operational Excellence Award. How do you think the guys on the floor are going to take that? How do you think they're going to feel about that?
I think they're going to be extremely excited. I know that they've been a big part of it, obviously. So I hope that that they're as excited as I am and as Andrew is. There's been a number of them who have been here during the whole implementation, and they recall much of what it's meant. And I hope those individuals definitely feel like they were a big part of it, because they absolutely were.
Awesome. That's cool. That's cool. What about you? I mean, what's down the horizon here? What are you looking to do with L2L that you want to accomplish here or that we can help you accomplish in the next year or so?
Yeah, so we've recently started a PM optimization program. As you can imagine, at the very beginning, we were just throwing as many PMs out as we could to just try and catch up with issues. And now there's a point where we need to start refining that, really taking a look at the frequency to ensure that we're not over PMing and or under PMing. So looking at asset history and failures and relating them to PM, actions is what we've started. And that's been pretty recent in the last few months. So that's one big initiative. The skills module is a second. And then refining our interaction with production, to be honest. So the production module is I shouldn't say fairly new, but it is new.
6 months or so, huh? Yeah.
And they have an admin in production now who's been really diving in and making good use of all of the tools inside L2L. So kind of integrating a little bit better with production and in that admin is definitely a goal. So those are, I would say, the top three.
Yeah. Let's talk a little about the relationship that you've got now that we've implemented the production module and we're starting to take data on that side of the house and using it with your data. Has that helped the relationship with production? How's that changed the relationship that you have with your counterparts in the production world?
It's helped. It's funny that you bring that up, because literally this morning, I was in a morning meeting, and the factory manager was saying, "Hey, we've got a number of issues with this machine, and when are we going to get them resolved?" And it was a little bit of a surprise to me. So he offered to dig into the data to find out, what the issues were to report them up. And a few hours later, I got an email that said, "Well, I'm getting bad information. I'm hearing that the machine's not running well, but there's no data to support what I'm hearing. There's been no dispatches submitted, no downtime." And he said, so the issues is now irrelevant. I'll work through it with my team, and if we really have issues, we'll submit a dispatch and start logging some data. So
wow.
It's really just helped us overcome the hearsay and move straight to resolving the issues. And the data speaks for itself. So as long as we're getting good data in, we're able to use that data to manage the issues, prioritize them, and really.
Yeah. Awesome, dude. We really I appreciate it. We appreciate you a bunch from leading the lean. I appreciate you personally from a friendship standpoint, and just kind of our ability to communicate back and forth, and you've done a great job, man. I really am impressed with what you've done over the past couple of years here with these guys. So good job, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks, Eric. Yeah, no, the feeling's mutual. I mean, I appreciate you and everyone at L2L. Anytime have lost my mind and I need help, you guys are always there to support me. So,
well, we in business, I guess you always want to create, to use the term raving fans, and we consider you one of our raving fans, and we are one of your raving fans. And so whatever we can do to help you be successful is definitely.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah. So, hey, man, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Hey, if you guys want to hear more interviews like this, if you want to hear more insight from plant leaders, like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check us out on our podcast on Leaning In on all the podcast stations. And thanks for joining us. Phil, thanks a bunch. I appreciate you, man.
Thanks. Take care, Eric.
Talk to you later. See ya.